The orphaned Zephyrian Kira crouched behind the metal supply crates in the station's cargo bay, her violet skin almost glowing under the harsh lights. Her forearms wrapped around her knees as she tried to make herself smaller. The other Zephyrians on the space station avoided her completely. They whispered that she was cursed, that her parents had died because she brought bad luck. She was 23 years old now, but still alone. No male from her species had ever shown interest in her. They said she was too thin, too pale, and her second set of arms were smaller than normal. In Zephyrian culture, strong arms meant strong children. Kira's arms marked her as weak. The human section of the trading station was different. Humans walked past her without the disgust she saw in Zephyrian eyes. They simply ignored her, which felt better than hatred. Some even nodded politely when they saw her working in the recycling center, where she earned barely enough credits to survive. Jake worked in the human medical bay. He was tall with brown hair and kind green eyes. Every day he passed through the cargo area on his way to the lower decks. Unlike the others, he always stopped to say hello to Kira. At first she thought he was mocking her, but his smile seemed genuine. "How are you today, Kira?" he would ask in his careful, broken Zephyrian. She would answer in perfect English, which always made him grin with embarrassment. "You can speak English," she would remind him gently. "I know, but I want to learn your language," or he would say. This confused Kira greatly. Why would a human want to learn the language of a species that treated him as inferior? The Zephyrians considered humans primitive because they only had 2 arms. Yet Jake seemed to respect her culture more than her own people did. One day Jake found Kira crying behind the cargo containers. 3 young Zephyrian males had cornered her earlier, telling her that she should stop embarrassing their species by existing. They said she made all Zephyrians look weak to the other races on the station. "What happened?" Jake asked, sitting down beside her on the cold metal floor. Kira explained in halting words. She expected Jake to offer empty comfort or change the subject. Instead, his face grew angry. "That's completely wrong," he said firmly. "You work harder than anyone I know. You're smart and kind. They're idiots if they can't see that." "But I am defective," Kira whispered. "My arms are small. No one will ever choose me as a mate. I will die alone." Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that shocked her. "What if someone from outside your species chose you? Would that count?" Kira stared at him. "Humans and Zephyrians cannot mate. Our biology is too different." "I didn't mean physically," Jake said, his face turning red. "I meant emotionally. Choosing to care for someone. Choosing to build a life together." The idea was so foreign that Kira couldn't process it at first. In Zephyrian culture, relationships existed only for producing strong children. Love was a secondary consideration, but Jake seemed to be suggesting something else entirely. Over the following weeks, Jake spent more time with Kira. He brought her food from the human section, which tasted strange but was better than the scraps she usually ate. He taught her card games and showed her human movies on his portable screen. She taught him more Zephyrian words and explained her people's customs. Other humans began to notice their friendship. Most seemed accepting, though a few made crude comments about Jake's choice in companions. The Zephyrians were less kind. They accused Kira of betraying her species by associating with a primitive 2-armed creature. "Let them talk," Jake said when Kira worried about the gossip. "What matters is how we feel about each other." This was revolutionary thinking for Kira. All her life she had been told that her worth depended on what others thought of her. Her small arms made her worthless in Zephyrian eyes, but Jake saw her differently. "You're beautiful," he told her one evening as they watched stars through the observation deck window. "Your violet skin is like nothing I've ever seen, and your forearms make you incredibly graceful when you move." Kira felt something warm spread through her chest. No one had ever called her beautiful. In Zephyrian society, she was an embarrassment. But Jake looked at her like she was precious. "I don't understand," she admitted. "Why do you care about me? My own people don't want me." "Because they're wrong," Jake said simply. "Just because they can't see your value doesn't mean you don't have any. Sometimes outsiders see things more clearly." That night, Kira realized she had fallen in love with the strange human who saw beauty where others saw only flaws. It terrified her. Love was supposed to serve reproduction in her culture. What they felt for each other served no biological purpose, yet it felt more real than anything else in her life. The station administrator, a proud Zephyrian named Commander Vex, eventually learned about their relationship. He summoned Kira to his office and demanded she end her association with Jake. You shame us all, he declared. Bad enough that you exist at all, but now you consort with primitive humans. This ends now. No, Kira said quietly. Commander Vex's forearms spread wide in shock. What did you say? I said no, Kira repeated, louder this time. I will not end my friendship with Jake. He treats me with more respect than any Zephyrian ever has. Then you are no longer welcome in Zephyrian areas of this station, Vex snarled. You are banished from your own people. Kira felt like she should be devastated. Instead, she felt lighter. She had been rejected by her people anyway. Now it was official. Jake was waiting for her outside the commander's office. Somehow he had known what would happen. I spoke to Captain Rodriguez in the human section, he said. She's offered you work in our medical bay. Better pay, better hours, and you can stay in human quarters if you want. Kira stared at him. You would welcome me even though I bring shame. You don't bring shame, Jake said firmly. You bring honor. Any species lucky enough to have you should treasure you. 6 months later, Kira had a new life in the human section. She worked as a medical technician, using her forearms to assist in complex surgeries that were difficult for two-armed humans. Her colleagues respected her skills and treated her as an equal. Jake had been right about outsiders seeing more clearly. The humans valued her for what she could do, not for what she looked like or who her parents had been. She was no longer the unwanted Zephyrian orphan. She was Kira, skilled medical technician and beloved partner to Jake. They couldn't have children together, but they built something else, a home. A family of choice rather than biology. Love that existed for its own sake, not to serve some greater purpose. Sometimes Kira saw other Zephyrians in the station corridors. They looked at her with confusion now instead of disgust. She wore human clothes and walked with confidence beside Jake. She was clearly happy, which puzzled them. How could the defective orphan they had, rejected, be thriving while they struggled with loneliness? And rigid social expectations, their confusion was answer enough. Kira had found her place not among her own people, but among those wise enough to see her true worth. Sometimes the most beautiful flowers bloomed in unexpected soil.